All right, welcome back to another episode of Fitness Thoughts. Hope you're all doing well, guys. So really excited for this episode today. We've got a really cool guest coming across onto the episode for us. So we are joined today by Kyle Mangan, who is a PT from 𝐊𝐲𝐥𝐞 Gym. That's right, isn't it, Kyle? 𝐊𝐲𝐥𝐞 Gym in Skipton?
That is correct, Jake, yeah.
Cool, mate. So first of all, dude, how are you doing? You okay?
I am good, mate. I am excited to be here, and thank you for having me on as a guest.
Mate, it's my pleasure. Welcome to the podcast, and thank you for agreeing to come on as well, dude. Been wanting to, like I said, be just before we started the recording, when I decided to make it, you were one of the first names that came up that I wanted to ask. And like we were saying, even though we've never properly met, we've spoken a bit through socials and that, because of how clear you come across in your content, how good your content is, and how clear your message always is, and the results that you put out with clients. I was interested to learn more about you and sort of see what your background is and how you got into this position. So do you just want to give people a bit of an introduction for those that might not know you into exactly that, into, a bit of a background, how you got to where you are?
Yeah, not a problem. So my name's Kyle Mangan. I'm a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer for about 2 years, and I coach people out of Skipton, a 24-hour gym. I played rugby league for 7 years, started at the age of 11, and got to quite a high level. I was playing, I got signed at Bradford Bulls scholarship.
Yes, mate. Big Bradford Bulls fan.
Yes, yeah. Also, I remember when my granddad first took me out to Odsall when I was around about 11, 12. And oh man, I just started rugby pitch, and that I just had a tunnel vision to be a rugby player.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting there. And I remember I was kicking off at Coral Stadium. But anyway, yeah. So I played rugby for 7 or 8 years. And I became injured. And in that time, when I had the injury, I was so tunnel visioned on being a rugby player. That is all I really wanted to be. So from there, I'm going through life without a purpose, really. And not only till I started training again is where I found my purpose and being a coach. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
I love that, mate. And the rugby background, something I personally can relate to a lot, because I've played for a lot of years myself, never to that level. Always in the spectator stand for Bradford matches, even through the more recent bad times in recent years, but I was there when we were in the heyday as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember I played union for most of my childhood, from probably about 11 till uni. And then when I went to uni, I made the switch to league. Jesus, the difference in the disciplines is ridiculous. League is so much more physical. It's just so much more physical, isn't it?
Of course, and I tell you what, running back 10 meters after every tackle is something else, mate.
Yeah. So I mean, what position were you?
I used to play second row or centre.
Yeah.
I played centre for about 4.5 years, 5 years, and then I moved up to second row, which are two different roles. But yeah, it's one of them. I actually played rugby union twice, and I felt so out of place. It was unbelievable. I just did not know what I was doing. Same shape ball, but completely different games.
It is, isn't it, mate? And we used to get some league players come to us during their off season, because like for you guys, your season's during the summer, and then for us, it's through the winter.
Oh. Yeah.
And we'd have some league players come across, and their line work and their speed and the fitness, it was just another level compared to the rest of us. It just made us all look so bad.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Rugby, unfortunately, rugby never worked out, but it did teach me a lot of disciplines, and it showed me that when I was training, especially rugby and around that field, I was truly at my happiest.
Yeah.
And it were good to have that instilled in me as a child and a teenager growing up. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Because now you know when you can recognize that now in other, like in coaching and everything you do now. If you recognize that same passion, you're never going to work a day, are you? Because you just wake up every day just fueled and ready to go.
Definitely, it's instilled into you.
Yeah, massively it is. And that is a huge plus of the rugby culture as well, is just that discipline and that drive that it does teach you. Because I went sort of the other direction. See, I was always, when I was young, I was like, oh, I want to play rugby, I want to play for Bradford. Pretty quickly realised that wasn't going to be the case for me. Didn't have the skill required really. But so I went down the coaching route, and we're fortunate enough to work with 𝐊𝐲𝐥𝐞, the Wildcats, for a few years with worked with them for a few years for their academy team, just doing some S&C work. And as soon as those lads came in from 15 years old, what I loved about that was there was more emphasis on building the character than there was just building the player. Like they're at this stage where we're building you into a decent person, into a better person, where, the rugby skills will come, everything like that will come, and we'll put our work in there, but we're focused on building you as a person as well. And I think that is one of the huge positives of rugby.
Definitely, I've got to agree there. And they instill it from like the get-go as well, and it molds you into a disciplined person. And yeah, like you said, even with Bradford Bulls, it's a shame what went on with the club, but they had some golden years, and Wakefield Wildcats are still going pretty strong as well. So
yeah, man. Yeah. So, question that I always ask everyone, just the first one, is basically around coffee. Nice icebreaker. Big coffee drinker, not a coffee drinker?
I love coffee, mate.
I don't think I've met a coach that doesn't. I genuinely don't think I have.
Yeah, I do. Favorite coffee? I'll go for a caramel latte, me.
Yeah.
I don't know if the big one, but I like my caramel latte, definitely.
Yeah, I like that. My favorite is vanilla latte, so along the same sort of lines.
All right, okay.
Definitely along the same sort of lines. But it's not one that I normally would just drink black, certainly if I'm at home, because I do like a black coffee as well. But if I ever go out for a coffee, if I go to like a proper coffee shop, I'll always get something like a flat white or a vanilla latte or something. Got to treat yourself, haven't you?
100%. How many do you have a day?
I'm not too bad now. I'll have two before about 2 p.m. at most.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I'm same. I'll have one in the morning when I first wake up, and then maybe one about 3 hours after, and then I've got a cut-off point. Like I say, 3 o'clock, it's done.
Yeah, I'm the exact same, because otherwise I'll be up all night. What's Skipton like for coffee shops? Because is there? So, because me and Sophie, we always have Wednesday afternoons off, and we'll normally go out for a coffee somewhere around Bramham, Ilkley, that sort of thing. But we've never ventured out as far as Skipton. But I would curious. This is one of the ones I was curious to ask you. What's the coffee scene like in Skipton?
There's definitely a fair few coffee shops there, mate. And like I say, if you ever want to bob round, you'd be more than welcome, you and Sophie. And
cheers, man.
Get a try. Yeah, not a problem, man.
So then moving into a bit more fitness related content, we've spoken quite a lot about your background with rugby. Was that your first sort of ever introduction into sort of the fitness world? Was that the first ever experience of it that you had?
Yeah, 100%. So when I was 11-year-old, my father introduced me. He actually tried to get me, I think he asked me if I wanted to do boxing. He never pushed anything on me, but he said, "Do you want to do boxing?" And I never really wanted to do that for some reason. And for so I don't know why. He went, "Try rugby league if you want. I think you'll enjoy it." And I remember, that was the first ever experience. Was down in Brighouse. I was 11-year-old and my first ever rugby game. And I remember training, and they had us doing just a simple lap round field. And I remember thinking it were a sprint and being absolutely gassed at. Yeah, I took it very serious for some reason, even back then. But yeah, 11 is when I first introduced to fitness and that style of training, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And was it sort of through those initial first few years with rugby, was it more just sort of fitness development and skill development? There wasn't so much obviously when you're that age, no one's really bothered about building muscle or anything. So was it just focus on fitness and enjoyment?
But we went there, and it was just for the first few years, we're just basically building a team, and just improving your skills with the ball, and just, we had a great team. Even like from 11 till 14, we had a great team, great unit. This were guys, the Rangers were my first team. What we played for. It was quality. Do you know what it is? It one of the best. Looking back on my childhood, one of the best things I ever did was starting playing with a rugby team. 100%.
Yeah, and I think from a social point of view as well, it gives you that social confidence, doesn't it? I know. So for me, I've grown up in a house with 3 brothers, so it's not like I've ever sort of been by myself. I was sort of socially pretty good, all right. And I grew up, my dad, mum, my granddad, they all run and own a butcher shop. So we grew up working in that as well. So we were sort of brought up around that social environment of being able to speak to others and communicate. But obviously for those people that aren't, it can be a big shock to the system starting a team sport of that nature, because it is a very, very close-knit sort of brotherhood, isn't it, when you join rugby like that? And did you find that it brought along your sort of social skills and confidence and everything like that?
100%. There's a strong unity in any really team sport, and it did, like, not as well as the physical side, but be able to gain your networking, your social, and even as kids, it's a great way to be able to bond with other human beings. And then I remember even going from 14, 15, when it started getting a bit more serious, like when you have that team unit and that spirit, and you're all you're aligned, and it's like a brotherhood. It's a very, very powerful thing. It's very motivating to be a part of something like that. And it's very positive when you're seeing your team winning and getting results. It's a great thing to be a part of, 100%.
It is. It's a mad feeling, isn't it? And it's like, it's friendships as well that you keep for life. Like, there's lads that I, not played with now since I was 18, so 7 or 8 years, but I still speak to on a pretty frequent basis, still keep in touch with. Like, you always sort of have that bond, don't you?
Yeah, because you remember what the events went on the pitch, and the hard work and the grit and the grind from showing up when it's been pissing it down. I don't know if you're allowed to swear, sorry, but when it's been raining,
mate, say what you want.
when it's been, you know what I mean, it's hailstoning, and only a lot of people are blobbing, and all them certain lads would show up day in, day out. Yeah, and like I say, I've got a few lads that I haven't seen in a while, but we still know it's good on both ends.
Yeah, that's awesome. So would you say then that background has shaped your approach to fitness now, and sort of certainly your approach to coaching as well? Do you reckon it's influenced that?
Definitely. I feel from the experience of being a child up to a late teenager playing rugby has 100% shaped me as a person and as a coach. And I find that with doing that, with doing rugby, it's helped me be able to connect with people. And I also find it helps me push them and give them that bit of motivation that maybe I wouldn't have been able to do if I didn't have. I go back to experiences with my coaches when at rugby, and they used to absolutely run us into ground some nights, not all the time, but just to make you realise, like, if you really want to win the league, or you want something, you need to be working hard for it. Which is not all about that, but it were a big, big thing. And I'd like to say, it definitely helped me, molded me as a coach, 100%.
Yeah. No, mate, the example you've just given there is spot on, and I can relate to that, because I do the exact same thing. Sometimes you'll know yourself when you might be working with clients and they're not necessarily pulling the weight, or they're not doing as well as they're capable of doing. You know that they've got potential to do a lot more, and you need to try and get that out of them. And you want to put it across in a way that's going to be helpful. But in some cases, it has to be tough love. It has to be pretty sort of on the nose. And in those situations, I have found myself asking myself in the past, like, is this going to be a bit too blunt? Or is this how I would have been spoken to by my old coaches at rugby when I was younger, that would have been useful and would have made me think, yeah, do you know what? I just need to get this done. I need to sort myself out. And I think in those situations, having a background in those experiences, it just pays dividends for a coaching profession.
It definitely does. Well, what happens if a coach who you highly respect or tells you straight and how it is in a way that when you know you aren't pulling your weight, you immediately think to yourself, right, and you take a back step. It's like, right, hold on, like, I aren't pulling my weight here. And if you have that, even though you've got to be blunt sometimes, and tell them, it's down to them. And literally 9 times out of 10, people actually realise where they're going wrong. And if you do that in a constructive way, there's never an issue with that. Does that mean, you know what I mean? As long as you're being constructive and you're showing that you care, all right, there's nothing wrong with that, being blunt towards someone at hand if they're not pulling the weight. 100%. Look at Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Like, Gordon Ramsay, this is obviously related, but he can go sometimes over the top. But if you look at when he's in the kitchen, they're all looking at him as a leader, as a natural leader, and they listen to what he says. And it's same when it comes to that. Not as full on, but
you're not slapping anyone with sandwich or with a fisher out like that.
Yeah, throwing plates everywhere and stuff. Yeah, not to that extent. But
so, where are you now then with your fitness journey? We'll say in air quotation. Sort of, what's the purpose of your training at the minute?
To be honest with you, the purpose for me is aligning my habits with my vision and what I want, where I want to get to in life. And my journey has consisted heavily over last year, or since I'd say the first lockdown, of just personal development. I never really understood what personal development was. And then when I found and understood the power of investing in yourself and the power of actually finding your purpose, a human being who has got that behind them is a powerful force. And I believe that you don't get taught stuff like this in school, but someone, if you are on your purpose, then you become unstoppable in a sense. If you truly want something, you can get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in terms of my journey, yeah, I literally every day I wake up inspired and blessed to be alive, and I am grateful for everything that's happened to me in my life. And I'm grateful to be a personal trainer, and I'm grateful to be able to help other people who have gone through similar struggles to me, and watching them build their confidence. So that is part of my journey, is waking up every day being grateful to help others who may have been in the situations I've been as a young man growing up, if that makes sense, Jake.
Yeah, totally. And mate, you dod on when you sort of talking about passion. I've had conversations with sort of consults in the past, and people saying, I've seen your sort of stories, I've seen your content, and I see that, you'll go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. You get up at 6, half 6, and you sort of working first thing, you'll read a bit. And they're like, I just don't think I can do that. I don't know if that's me. And they're like, I don't get how you can do that every day and not sort of get tired. And it's that conversation of, well, look, it's my passion. It's what I get up to do. It's not even a thought. You just do it.
Yeah.
And relating it back to them, there was some people I've spoken to who want to be journalists and writers. I'm like, you're constantly reading. You are constantly reading all the time and looking for news and writing and stuff. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't read. I can read. I was like, but I'm a very slow reader and it takes me a long time. I was like, but you won't even think about that because that's your passion and your purpose, and you just do it and you're just on it. And I was like, it's the same thing. It's just a different context.
Exactly, Jake. And obviously you and me have both read John D. Martini's Value Factor.
Yeah.
I recommend anyone listening to this, you go read that book and actually look at what your values are, because your values are the things that you do without even having to think about doing them.
Yeah.
So that what you just explained about some of the things that I do in my life, I don't even have to think about it twice anymore, because it is just instilled in me, and it doesn't feel right if I'm not doing it. Do you know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean you've got to push your expectations on anybody else. I never turn around and say you've got to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and read books or out like that. But at the same time, in terms of my life, that is just something that works for me, and I feel when I do that, I've already got a win under my belt. And I've explained this on a post before. If you stack small wins in your life every day with a morning habit, which is everything, you have already the confidence to be able to then further on through the day build even more wins. And when you are stacking small consistent wins every day, it builds your confidence. So like, for example, you got a post to put out, you got a workout to do, you've got 3, 4, 5 clients to see in the morning, and you do a really good job with them. That is 3 or 4, 5 wins that you stack there already. And if you do that consistently over and over and over again, it just builds his confidence as a person. Like, don't get me wrong, challenges do come in the way and things will happen. But if you're consistently on your purpose and you've got your vision to do that, that is how, for me, you build confidence in yourself.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Taking that time to actually sit back and reflect and notice the wins that you've had and actually be like, yeah, I've done that. And for me, it's physically writing a job list and ticking it off every single day. The first thing I do, to be fair, I do it the night before. So the last thing I do on my work day is write out my job list for the day, for the next day, so I can get up and I can just crack on. And
excellent.
Yeah, and just crossing them off, it just gives you that motivation and that productivity. Yeah, you're like, right, one done. What's next? What
you've done is you've assessed it the night before. You've looked at your day. You've done the task, and when you've done them, it's a win that you've stacked. And I think a lot of people are unorganized in that field, and that's why they feel overwhelmed, stress, disorders, because they're not taking a simple task of just planning the day out before. And it doesn't have to be too in depth. You literally. This is what, and I learned this off Mark Coles. I know you're very familiar with Mark Coles. He's helped me massively.
Yeah.
By doing what we call a brain dump, or decluttering your mind, where you write down everything on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be anything specific. And then you write down the task that you need to do the following morning, and then you list them on top priority from 1 to 5, and then you get them done. No messing.
Yeah. No, I think there's a lot
It works.
It works, yeah, 100%. There's a lot to be said, certainly for the stuff that Mark pushes out. Especially going back to what you were saying a minute ago around the values, because he's a big pusher, isn't he, of John D. Martini's work and establishing the values. And I know he put on a video the other day saying exactly that, saying, if you consistently fail to achieve a goal, it's not that you're not capable of achieving it. It's not that you can't achieve it. It's just that you don't value it. It's just that you don't yet realize how achieving it is going to benefit you and is going to get you closer to that end goal. And it's the same conversation like you'll have had with people before where they say, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z with my physique. I want to lose X amount of weight, whatever it is, but I hate going to the gym. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But let's spend some time understanding how doing that is going to get you to the thing that you value. Yeah. And
I think, go on.
I was going to say whether what they value is actually being healthier to spend more time with the kids, or being fitter to be able to play in the sport. And for them, losing X amount of weight is just, well, if I lose weight, then that automatically means I'm going to be there. It doesn't, but if you understand that going to the gym is going to help you do that to help you get to your value, it just lines up so much easier.
Exactly. And that is the power of values, and being able to align what you perceive to be a value that you want to do. It is 100% true. So yeah, Matt, and to be honest with you, Mark 𝐶𝐨𝐳, I wouldn't be the coach I am today, or the person, without taking on board the information of Mark 𝐶𝐨𝐳, because Mark 𝐶𝐨𝐳 has helped me in my career massively.
Yeah. I can say the same as well, mate. He was the first person I was ever properly introduced to about when it came to just furthering my coaching profession. And then he introduced me to the self-development, like you've been talked about. And it's just the impact of it's massive, in it. Absolutely massive.
100%. And I, if any PTs or coaches are out listening to that, and you don't know who Mark 𝐶𝐨𝐳 is, definitely give him a follow on Instagram and start looking into his work, because it will help you 100%.
Yeah. So we've sort of touched on this quite a bit, but would you say that your sort of life through fitness and your experiences with rugby now into coaching and that it's massively shaped the person that you are today? How would you say, sort of specific examples, it's shaped that characteristics or those characteristics?
By instilling discipline in forms of my life that wouldn't have been otherwise. Understanding the value of training and how powerful it actually is. What happened? I'll tell you a bit of a pain point and something that I went through when I picked up an injury in rugby. I kind of lost my purpose in life and what I wanted to do, because for so long I wanted to be a professional rugby player. That is all I cared about. At school, I wouldn't listen to anything apart from going to the rugby training. I didn't care about anything but rugby training, because that's what I wanted to do. Nothing really else inspired me apart from rugby training. So when that ended, I had no plan B. Like I didn't go to university. I went to college, but I went to college and I did plumbing, and I thought that was the path to go down because a lot of my mates were doing it. And then day by day, I'd realised that I just wasn't happy, and it was just like this went on for years, mate, where I just didn't have a purpose apart from just trying to make money by having a standard job. And then not until I became out of shape and doing a job that I didn't find fulfilling, that I truly realized that the power of training and my own training is what is going to shape my life forever. And then from that, going down to the fitness injury and actually making a career out of that is how I changed my life. So yeah, just for me, if you're in a job or if you're in a situation where you're not happy and you don't feel like you have a purpose, it's your duty to go find what it is. And your, like Mark 𝐶𝐴 says, your life will leave clues on what your purpose is. Down the line, if you reflect back, there'll be things. So for like me, looking back and reflecting on my life, I always realised once I was rugby training or doing exercise or some form of coaching, I was happy. And that's ultimately like why I'm so passionate the way I am, if that makes sense, Jake.
Yeah. I mean, obviously when that injury occurred and obviously you weren't able to play anymore, everything that you've just said must have been a big sort of a loss of identity, I guess, in a sense of just questioning like, well, who am I now if I don't have rugby? What do I do? Who am I? And it always amazes me because I don't have that backstory or that background, but I do know of a few coaches similar to yourself who have had that background of excelling in sport, having an injury, and then coming to that point of, well, what do I do now? Who am I now if I don't have this sport?
Where do we go from here? Like, well, what do we do? And then that's how the negative self-talk and depression and all that sort of stuff can occur when somebody's inactive and they're not sure on where to go from there. Does that make sense?
100%, mate, 100%.
Reflecting that, I'm so glad it happened to me, because it taught me very valuable lessons of life and what life can throw at you, and not everything's going to work out the way you think it's going to work out.
Yeah, definitely. You've just got to roll with the punches, haven't you? And just adapt and just stay true to your values, stay true to your beliefs, and just do what you can.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Like life is going to throw you some crazy shit, and it's about you being able to be resilient enough to be on point when it happens. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a short answer.
So would you say, along the sort of way in your career up to now, is there anything that you've come across, or would you say is massively misunderstood by people, like a misconception within the fitness industry? It could be nutrition, training, whatever.
To be honest with you, mate, there's a lot of misconceptions about the fitness industry. There's so many. To me, for me, I try not to allow too much negativity, and I try not to focus too much on it, but it's there. Do you know what I mean? I think social media and comparisons and gen pop clients or gen pop people, when you look at a certain influencer or a certain person with a certain body type, it can be very what's the word? It can people invest in a product. Yeah, exactly. And for someone, it's basically what I'm trying to say is unrealistic expectations, and allowing someone that you idolize how am I trying to say this? Basically, unrealistic expectations you see of a social media influencer, and then you getting caught up when you've tried everything and it still ain't working, down to nutrition, down to training, because everybody's an individual and everybody's unique in their own way. And you ever try to be like that person that you're seeing on social media, that you're idolizing, this influencer, whoever it may be, you're just going down a path that's not going to be fulfilling and not going to be inspiring or happy to you, because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. That's one of the most misunderstood things, and also the aesthetic side of it. Like, a lot of people will come in for the aesthetics, but they don't understand the fact that this is for not just that, but your own health and your own mindset, your own what I'm trying to say. It's very easy to get caught up in the glitz and glamour and how people look, but there's a lot more to it than just that, if that makes sense.
100%. And it's one of those, like, a lot of people, they'll come to you for a result, for a certain physique result, and they'll stay with you for the actual mental change that they've experienced along the way. The fact that, you know, day to day now, they feel more motivated, they feel happier, they feel more grateful, they've got more energy, they're calmer, they can handle stress better. Like, for me, even in an industry that is led a lot by physique changes, and they are great to get, when you can get changes on that other scale of someone just feeling better day to day, you can actually impact someone's motivation, productivity, general outlook and happiness. Like, that's the biggest win you can get, 100%.
But when you get a message saying, oh, my life's completely changed, I feel so much better myself compared to months ago when I felt like absolute shit or depressed or whatever it may be, that there is power in itself. Do you know what I mean? Like, I listed a few down, actually, like focusing on the physical appearance over the mindset, you know, health, strength, pain-free movement. Like, these are the things that people are, mental well-being, nutrition, limiting beliefs, all these things that people have, that what our industry can do and help them. But a lot of people come in with a misconception of, oh, he looks amazing, or she looks amazing, she's got a really nice waist, or he's got amazing, you know what I mean, amazing physique. That's what I want. They're doing it for the wrong reasons. So yeah, do it for the right reasons. Do it for yourself. Yeah.
And I think the trouble with that is a lot of people, especially that are going to be new to this, won't actually realize that is the change that they're going to get. Yet they'll come for the physical change because they won't understand that the psychological change, the mindset shift, that is going to come along with it. So it's almost meeting people on that level and being like, to a degree been like, yeah, okay, let's work towards achieving X, Y, and Z, whether it's getting lean for a photo shoot, losing X amount of weight, whatever it is. But then along the way, you start drip feeding in there. By the way, how's your motivation day today? How's your productivity? How's your mindset? How's your outlook? Let's work on these things and let's start listing, what you're grateful for on a daily basis, doing your brain dumps. And then that's when it starts to really come in. And then, like you've said, that's where it becomes more of a lifestyle and then not just a short-term change and not just a short-term result.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And it's like when anyone approaches me or I have anyone in front of me, I make sure we have a look at their habits and what habits have they actually got and what habits have led them up to where they are now, whether it's eating, whether it's drinking, whether it's all self-destructive habits. Yeah. It's about getting very clear at the start of what's going on. And then as the training progresses, you're on a very clear, you've got clarity between you both. If you don't address these things at the start, you can end up being weeks down the line and being very frustrated. And to be honest, I was guilty of it at the start when I wasn't really clear. Once you pass your course, you think you know everything, but you don't know nothing at all, especially about human behavior and psychology and how humans are very complex people. Like they've been through a lot of experiences, negative and positive, that shape who they are. And the habits that they pick up over time. And if they've got bad habits that they've had for years, putting them in a gym and training them or giving them a diet plan isn't going to work. There's a lot more in depth than that. Do you know what I mean? Tell them to go track the macros and that when they don't never track. It's just not going to work. You need to get to the fundamentals of why they are where they are right now and how you're going to get them out of it. So to me, that is key, Jake, 100%.
Yeah. But mate, couldn't have said it better. Really, really key. And like when you mentioned about people coming with that picture of, I want to look like so-and-so. They've got great abs. They've got a great waist. You'll have had the same conversations so many where, you've had to turn around and be going, they don't look like that. Like 99% of the time, they don't look like that. They probably don't even look like that at all. That's a lot of Photoshop. And for you to get to that degree. So I did a photo shoot at the start of this year, and obviously I've put some of those photos out on social media, on Instagram and stuff. And with one of them, I made the point that this is not how I look. Like this took a hell of a lot of work, time, effort, and sacrifice to look like this. And it's great. It's not bodybuilding, but we'll use it in that context. Bodybuilding is a crazy sport in a sense of when you're at your best, you're at your most unhealthy. You're tired, you're moody, you're irritable, no energy. And it's the same with people wanting to get super, super lean. There's that, like you said, setting realistic expectations of, if you want to look like this, it's not going to be much fun. Like we can get you a good chunk of the way, but to get to that point, that person probably doesn't look like that most of the time anyway. And it's going to be a very, very unenjoyable process for you.
Well, the question is why? Why do you want to do that? Like, if that is going to make you truly happy, let's do it. But if you're doing it for different reasons than other for yourself, then stop right there, because you're not going to be happy at the end of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's about getting very clear. Why? You know, is that one word there? Why? Oh, sorry, a question. Sorry, that why is very, very important when you're talking to people. Why they want to do it for that reason. So well done on that. Well done on them photos, mate. Because you can tell you're grafting, you put in the work. So
it's got. I mean, I enjoy that sort of process and going to that level. Every now and again. I won't want to do it all the time, but once every couple of years, it's good fun.
Of course.
And it gives me, for me, it gives me purpose to my training and to my development as well. So I know, I'll do that again in a couple of years. And that is now for me, what I'm training and working towards is trying to improve that so that next time I do it, I can beat my condition from that one and my size and everything like that. And that for me is my why for doing that. And it's like, I've got a client who's just started his own photo shoot prep, and his why was literally, I want to be in the best shape of my life for 47 years old. I've been working with him for well over a year already, and he's got a phenomenal physique. And that's it. And I'm like, cool, let's do it. We're going to smash it.
What an amazing reason, though. You're very clear on why they want to get in the shape of their life. Do you know what I mean? That's a great reason. They're not doing it because they've seen someone else's Instagram or someone else's Facebook or whatever it may be, and think, I want to. They understand the reasons why they're doing it, and I think that's the key to that. Yeah. Body transformations and stuff are not a bad thing if it's done under the right reasons. Do you know what I mean?
100%. So with that then, for your own training and your own personal development, who would you say are the key people that have inspired you along the way? Because I'm sure you'll have had a few, especially with the rugby background as well.
Do you know what it is? Who inspires me? One of them is Tyson Fury, 100%.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury, the way he became a world champion, he lost his purpose. You know, he beat all the best, then he lost his purpose, and then he went on a self-destructive, negative 3 or 4 years out of game, developed very, very serious bad habits, nearly killed himself, and then came back and did what he did to me, and then obviously spoke about it openly on a world platform and told people who were going through very similar things that he's been through it. That inspired me a lot, because I was like, wow, I've been through a similar experience. And I know what that's kind of like to have a tunnel vision on something, and then when it's either gone or you've already got it, then not having that next step forward. So Tyson Fury has 100% helped me massively, and he's an inspiration to me.
Yeah, I love Tyson Fury. I think he's brilliant.
And he's going to knock Deontay Wilder out for on that third fight.
that was it. It was the first fight, wasn't it, where he got knocked down and just came.
Got knocked down. Look at that! Come on, this world.
That is not human.
This is what I'm saying, mate. Like, there's forces behind what we can't see, and that were a prime example of hidden forces, like helping him get back up on his feet.
Yeah.
And just watching that, I remember watching that live, and it was like, oh my god, there's something going on here. Like,
yeah, literally.
Not even just get up, but then actually start fighting back and winning that round. Just stuff like that. It inspires me.
Yeah.
That's one.
What do you reckon about him and AJ? Do you reckon A, it's going to happen, and B, if it does, who you fancying?
I just hope it don't. I hope it ain't Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line. It's too late. I hope it just happens, and they put money and egos and stuff aside. They are the best UK heavyweights in. They are the best heavyweights in the UK. Fight. Let's see it. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, Tyson Fury's never lost. AJ lost to Ruiz, but I think, to be honest with you, Tyson Fury beat him. Yeah. The guy's from a gypsy family. I'm not saying it's impossible not to beat him, Rob, but my money would be on Tyson Fury. But don't get me wrong, Anthony Joshua is a quality boxer, 100%.
And he's what I like about AJ, he is the consummate professional, isn't he? He's just a professional.
100% professional. His whole, yeah, definitely. He's like a quality athlete for Under Armour.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
mannerisms, the way he holds his emotions, everything. Yeah, he's a quality boxer as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there anyone else that you wanted to mention in terms of inspiration, or was it the main one?
Mark Coles, definitely. If there's any personal trainers or coach on here, listen to Mark Coles, because that guy he's 20 years in and he's helped me out massively. 100%, definitely.
Yeah. Would you put him down as one of your top mentors then?
He is by far 100%. Yeah, and like some of the coaching programs and stuff that he's running as well are very, very beneficial. So I definitely invest in him 100%.
Yeah.
Who's your top mentors? If you don't mind me asking, Jake.
My top mentors. That's a good question. You think I'd have thought about this, wouldn't you, when I started writing them out?
Who springs to mind?
Who's what? Sorry.
Who springs to mind first in your mind?
So, to be fair, Mark is one of them. He is one of the first people that I was introduced to in terms of personal development and just coaching development. So his was the first seminar I ever went to, the body transformations one and the training the average Joe one.
Right.
I went down to those in London about 2018, I think it was, which is mad because it doesn't seem that long ago. So Mark's definitely one in terms of top mentors. And then, to be honest with you, I love the Muscle Mentor guys for their educational content. I don't know if you've come across them before. It's a bit more. So they're very much down the physique and bodybuilding route, but they are very much driven by education, and everything that they do is driven by evidence-based education. And they have a huge emphasis on improving your stress, sleep, digestion, stuff that you'll have come across with Mark's anyway, and just really going into the nuances of that, of how to improve your actual health to help then bring out your best physique. Because if you don't get your digestion on point, if you're not learning how to manage your stress better, if you're not sleeping properly, trying to change your body composition is just an uphill battle. Yeah, it ain't happening. It's just such an effort. Whereas if you can get all those on point, because they work in a trifecta, if your digestion's out, you're probably going to feel a little bit more anxious, probably not going to sleep as well. If you're not sleeping as well, you're going to feel more stressed, all that. if one out's it,
energy.
out. And yeah, so for me, those two would probably be the first two that spring to mind, definitely in terms of Mark and then the Muscle Mentor. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking those guys out because there is a few of them. Luke is the head of education and Callum's the head of coaching. Like I said, they are very physique based, but the educational content they put out is on another level. It really is.
Yeah. I'll definitely be looking them up 100%. Definitely.
So where can people, before we finish up today, mate, where can people find you? Where's best to go and check out your content?
To be honest with you, I focus mainly on Instagram.
Yeah.
𝐊𝐴𝐺𝐞 coaching. I do a little bit of Facebook, but not as much. I'm mainly based on Instagram. So yeah, anyone who wants to check me out can go on there. I'll give you a follow back.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So before we leave then, can you leave us with something inspirational? Basically, what is the one thing you would say to someone who is struggling right now? What's the one bit of advice you would give?
Find your purpose if you haven't got one.
Yeah.
All the pain, all the shit you've been through can be harnessed into something amazingly positive. You have the power, unbelievable power with your mind when you know how to use it correctly. And start, if you are already looking into personal development and developing your mind, because there's people out there who have got positive information that you can absorb in a world that's filled with so much negativity. There's people out there who can help you. So yeah, find your purpose, get personal development, or try and stick to some personal development. Yeah, that's basically it.
Mate, I love that. That's spot on. Really, really spot on. And I think you mentioned him before, but John Demartini, his book, The Values Factor, is one of the best places you can start. Because it's a hefty read, isn't it? It's a deep read. It's not one to take lightly, but the exercises in it.
Yeah, the exercise, you've got to take action on it. You've got to, you don't just read it and skim over it. You've got to be able to actually read it and then follow through with the exercises that it's got on the book to be able to get the most out of it. So yeah, that's definitely helped me. And yeah, harness your pain. Like every single human being is going to go through some trauma at one point or another. You must harness this pain and use it to a positive and help people who may not be aware of it and who are going through similar events as you. Do you know what I mean? That's my best advice.
Amazing, mate. Absolutely loving it. I'm sure it's going to be really, really helpful for people that are listening. So, Kyle, mate, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you giving up the time and sharing some of your tips with us, dude. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, mate.
Not a problem, Jake, man. I appreciate you even having me on in the first place. So, yeah.
My pleasure, dude.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
See you at Ultraflex one day, mate.
Yes. Yeah, let's get that sorted. We'll get that sorted. Speak to you soon.